Marilyn Penalosa, here to give you a brief overview of the state of the Community Preservation Act in Lexington and take a quick look at this year's projects that will be coming up for your approval at town meeting. In this, our 20th anniversary year of CPA, we have much to be grateful for and much to be proud of. We are grateful to town meeting for their support of our projects and to town meeting members and the community at large for their continued financial support through real estate taxes. And we are proud of our accomplishments over the years. Cover town pressure. We've authorized $117.3 million in projects across the 4 categories of the Act. We have authorized $43.6 million in the historic resource category, enabling us to renovate our 3 historic houses, purchase and renovate the community center, renovate Cary Hall and Cary Library, and rehabilitate the Monroe Center for the Arts, all buildings that enhance the Lexington experience. We've restored our National Historic Landmark, Ballard Green, and the old burying ground, and preserved dozens of the earliest records of life in our town. With $20.7 million for open space, we have provided for the acquisition or preservation of 68 acres of conservation land, including the acquisition of the Boosa Farm and Leary land, both of which have set-asides for affordable housing, as well as the Cotton Farm, the Wright Farm, and the Highland Avenue properties, and the preservation of many of our existing conservation lands, including the well-loved and well-used Willard's Woods and Whipple Hill. These conservation lands connect our trail systems and allow us to truly appreciate the benefits of our natural environment. As we know, there is a critical need for affordable housing in Lexington, and we have provided $21.5 million to acquire, rehabilitate, preserve, and support our portfolio of community housing for low and moderate income families and seniors. This includes 43 new units of housing, as well as the preservation and rehabilitation of existing properties owned and managed by the Lexington Housing Authority and LexHab. Our new Affordable Housing Trust has already enabled the creation of 5 new units of housing and has plans to assist in the development of the lands on Lowell and Vine Streets. We thrive on recreational opportunities, and with $31.5 million of CPA funds, we have supported 80 recreational resources, including playfields and playgrounds, tennis and basketball courts, the Minuteman across Lexington and West Lexington Greenway bicycle paths, the golf course at Pine Meadows, and a new skate park in the center playfields, a townwide accessibility study of our recreational facilities and new accessible facilities at our neighborhood parks and the paths at Parker Meadows and Willard's Woods, renovations to the old res, lighting, irrigation, and drainage improvements at athletic fields across the town, the total restoration of our town pool, and our impressive center track and fields. All of these projects have been completed without putting pressure on the municipal budget for schools, roads, public buildings, necessary expenditures that might have made it impossible to fund these quality of life projects. Here is a graphic illustration of the projects cumulative through the 20 years ended fiscal year 26. The category percentages are a bit misleading. The second graph shows the change in category percentages over time. As you can see, the beginning years of CPA had more variation due to the outsized effect large dollar appropriations had on the total funding. For example, historic resources saw a large spike in fiscal years 2014 and 2015 to the acquisition and renovation of the community center, as well as the renovation of Cary Hall. Open space spiked when we purchased Boosa and Leary. Over time, these large dollar appropriations have diminished and the categories begun to even out. We are grateful for the continued contribution of funding from the state's Community Preservation Trust Fund, receiving $1.2 million last November for fiscal year 26. We note this is the lowest percentage match since CPA's inception, but we recognize the inevitability of this reduction due to diminished real estate transaction fees generated across the state, which are the major source of CPA funding. This reduction has been caused by the decline of actual sales and refinancings in the face of higher interest rates. Additional pressure is put on the trust fund as more communities adopt CPA. We now share the CPA pool with 200 other cities and towns, and the state's new financial burdens have eliminated any surplus state surplus distributions as has happened in the past. This slide shows you our financial situation going into town meeting. The beginning balance of our Community Preservation Fund is $13.45 million based on increased local surcharge receipts, but also reflecting an anticipated further reduction to 15% in the matching distribution from the state. The estimated surcharge is based on residential taxes, which average $574.90 for fiscal year 26, based on an average single-family home value of $1,656,734, and the contributions of our commercial base of $1,459,689, representing approximately 20% of the total. This state match for next year is based on a conservative 15%. If you approve all our recommended projects for fiscal year 27, we will have a balance of about $5 million to carry over to next year, of which approximately $2 million is earmarked for open space, and the remaining $2.8 million is unrestricted. The unrestricted funds will also be available for funding extraordinary or time-sensitive projects that we might bring to you in a special town meeting in the fall. It's important to note that as of this year, we have no outstanding CPA project debt, and therefore no debt service article. As will be noted in a few minutes, we anticipate no further debt in the immediate future due to the conversion of previously authorized debt for the rehabilitation of Monroe Center for the Arts to cash financing. Now, a quick look at this year's projects for your approval. All projects are unanimously recommended by the Community Preservation Committee and determined to be eligible for CPA funding by Town Council. Each project is further described in a separate video prepared by the project sponsor, posted on the town meeting website. Document Conservation Article 10A for $20,000 is part of a multi-year program to conserve the town's most important historical records. This year, we will be preserving police department journals from 1923 to 27, marriage intention ledgers from 1918 to 27, a police department arrest ledger from 1921 to 1926, and a tax collector's book from 1899 to 1910. The documents have been determined to be historic resources by the Lexington Historical Commission and thus eligible for CPA funding. These records provide an important picture of our town's early history and must be preserved to ensure their continued integrity. Incidental to the project is the complete digitization of the documents to permit greater public access. As noted above, 10B reflects the town's preference for cash transactions over debt financing, and since we have a surplus of CPA funds this year, the Finance Department has requested that we rescind the outstanding $2 million debt authorization for the renovation of the Monroe Center for the Arts and replace it with a cash appropriation of equal amount. At Special Town Meeting 2022-3, town meeting members authorized the creation of the Affordable Housing Trust as a means of increasing the affordable housing stock in Lexington. Article 10C provides $3.2 million to finance the purchase price, holding, and other costs associated with the acquisition and/or development of new affordable homes. The town continues to face challenges in making competitive offers on properties with the current system of waiting for approval from the annual town meeting. The funding of our Affordable Housing Trust allows it to become far more flexible, taking advantage of the current real estate market and successfully bidding on new properties. Town meeting previously approved $3 million in fiscal year 26, $3.2 million in fiscal year 2025, and $1.5 million in fiscal year 2024 for similar purposes. This article, Article 10D, for $395,355, will provide funding to the Lexington Housing Assistance Board, or LexHab, Lexington's longtime funder of affordable housing, for the preservation and rehabilitation of 31 of their affordable housing units, including roof, door, and window replacements, chimney repairs, walkways, and similar building upgrades. Included in the total request is $144,480 in rental assistance to subsidize units with tenants below minimum rent requirements. LexHab tenants pay 30% of their income toward rent, but other than for the few tenants who have rental vouchers, FlexHab must subsidize the rents to make the units affordable. Article 10E, $2,630,000 for improvements of the athletic fields at Harrington Field, supplements prior funding for the construction of 2 natural grass rectangular fields when the central administration building at Old Harrington School is demolished. The new fields are needed to address the shortfall in playing areas caused by increasing demand, exacerbated by the new high school construction project. Approximately 1,200 hours of field use will be gained by this project. The total project cost to create these fields is approximately $3.8 million, of which $1,197,904 of CPA funds were approved at last year's town meeting. Prior to that, $100,000 were appropriated from the general fund at the 2024 special town meeting for design, engineering, and architectural services for the field. Article 10F requests $100,000 for the creation of fencing around the playgrounds at Bridge and Fisk Elementary Schools. The project is needed to keep the children safe from unwanted visitors, walkers, dogs, coyotes, who wander through the playgrounds through school hours. Fencing will also enable the school to restrict access to damaged and unsafe facilities. The fencing will be made of black vinyl, 4 feet high, and is projected to last at least 25 years. This request, Article 10G, is for a yearly appropriation of $150,000 to meet the administrative expenses of the Community Preservation Committee, legal fees, appraisals, member dues to the statewide Community Preservation Coalition, and, importantly, the salary and benefits of our shared administrator assistant. As always, any funds not actually spent during any fiscal year are returned to the undesignated fund balance of the town's Community Preservation Fund. Final word. We extend our thanks to the Finance Department, especially Carolyn Kosanoff, Assistant Town Manager of Finance, and the members of the Appropriation and Capital Expenditures Committees for their support and good counsel. We hope you will agree that for 20 years, the Community Preservation Act has been and will continue to be an important source of funding for our town, providing welcoming open space, quality affordable housing, enhanced recreation facilities, and preservation of our most important historic resources, and we're grateful for your continued support. Thank you for listening to this presentation, and please contact us if we can provide additional information and answers to your questions.